like their polls.
Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips.
Hello everybody and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey.
Hello everybody. I was told by our guest tonight that I'm funny. Don't you love it? I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, listeners, welcome to the show. If you're a regular listener, you'll know that what we're all about is metaphysics and spirituality. So we love to talk about anything under that umbrella. We're a talk show. Quite often we have a guest on to inspire you and to open you up to new ideas. And of course, as Corey mentioned, we do have a guest on the show this evening.
Wonderful guest.
Yeah, and in fact, I think that I might just go ahead and introduce who we've got on the show this evening. But I should probably mention that this is CIVL on 101.7 FM, broadcasting live across the Fraser Valley, and also that you can catch the podcast on drlesleyphillips.com. If you want to send us in a question, you can write to info@drlesleyphillips.com, and if you want to call the studio to ask a question, it is 604-504-7441 extension 4142, and we do love to give you a spiritual insight on your questions, listeners. So if you're facing some kind of challenge in your life, then we're here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 to give you a hand.
By the way, just to remind everybody, that's spiritual, not religious.
Yeah, an intuitive insight. That might be a better word.
You know, I can spell intuitive, but I have a problem with meditation. I always put mediation.
Yeah, that's a common typo, isn't it? I've seen other people do that as well. So, this evening on the show, we have a dynamic new thought leader of self-help, yoga, and self-empowerment.
Ooh.
Do you know who it is?
I do.
Well, our guest tonight is a lady called Ezina, and she is an internationally recognized success coach, author, motivational speaker, and musician who is helping to revolutionize raw vegan cuisine, yoga, mantra music, and the holistic living landscape. So that's a tremendous amount for one person to take on.
It sounds like what we wanted to do in Honduras, set up that getaway in Honduras.
So she is a very exciting yoga and personal transformational personality who offers books, music, meditation, and motivational mixtapes as medicine for the soul. And she has created her own fusion between yoga, Reiki, and EFT called Kundayasa Yoga.
I'm looking forward to hearing about that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And so she's building upon ancient healing methodologies to help her students develop their core strength, reduce stress, become more flexible, mindful, and so forth. So she layers her teachings with a down-to-earth mixture of Eastern and Western techniques, popular culture, and inspirational messages. And so she is here this evening to inspire us in all of those things. And I have a quote that she said, which is, "I make music because it's transformational. It helps people to heal and live more purposefully. Music renews energy and transmutes negativity." And she wants her music to create a positive stirring in people's souls. So welcome to the show, Ezina.
Hello.
Welcome to the show. It's lovely to have you here, and we're very excited to learn more about you. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are and why it is that you do what you do. What gets you up every morning?
Wow, that's a really big question. Okay, how I got started. I've been in music forever, and I started as a very young girl, and I started studying metaphysics, and I started learning about the power of words and the power of, song, and how everything that you say has an effect on the body. And so as a musician touring around the world, I started off singing love songs and, heartbreak songs and things like that, and I realized I was experiencing more of that in my life. And I was like, wow, this metaphysics thing is really real, when you learn about it, and it's like, okay, you're really projecting these things to happen in your life. And I thought, well, I would like to create music that is positive, that brings more positive vibrations into people's lives. And so I started creating music that infuses sacred mantras and positivity and affirmations into the music. And really, that's the thing that gets me up in the morning, the idea that I can help people through music and through books and through art to find healing.
That's so true. I mean, people forget about this, but words are charged with energy. And so many of our words are just take the word God. That has so much energy that people have put on that word. It's not always pure for people who hear that word. And so all of our language is charged with energy. And so I so appreciate someone with that level of information writing uplifting music to help us all raise our vibrations. So
the power of neuro-linguistic programming is that you're taught the power of each of the words that you use and the words that we say to ourselves and how we speak to ourselves on a regular basis. And music is meditative, right? You have this favorite song, and it's on your radio or on your iPod or on your Spotify playlist, and you play it all the time because you love that song. But a lot of times the words that those songs, that the lyrics have, may not necessarily be the most positive things that you want to express on a daily basis. But because the lyrics, fill the air in a certain way, and you love the instrumentation, and you love the dance of the words and the music coming together, it becomes your favorite song because you've been it becomes your meditation because you've heard it on the radio so many times, and it's kind of like a brainwashing.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, totally. It is, yeah.
Because I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, music is perfect. I mean, it's mathematics for the ears, if you want to look at it that way. So it's always perfect. It doesn't. If it's put together, it's like a formula or an equation. If you do the equation correctly, you have a wonderful result. And it's the same with music. When you put those notes and tunes together, if you do it correctly, you're going to have an amazing result. It's going to be fantastic. We were just listening to some music a little earlier, coming from a previous show, and it's not what I would have called perfect. I've had friends that have used music for healing. If you want to, I had actually one person I knew. She would play. You'd book a session with her, and you'd lie underneath her grand piano, and she would play tunes. And Paul Armitage, there's another gentleman I know who had has a Moog synthesizer, and he channels music. Every piece of music he does is different, and it sends you into just such a deep meditative state. It's amazing.
So your music, Ezina, you said you incorporate mantras into it. Are they ancient mantras, or are they mantras that you are creating?
They're ancient. They're both. On my first mantra CD is one that I just channeled. I had gotten back from a trip to India, and I was just overcome with emotion, and I was vibrating on this level. I mean, I can't even explain it in words how I was feeling. Like, I felt like I could have walked on air. Like, that's just how great I felt. And I thought, I just want to record, and I just pressed record, and I went into my studio, and I just started chanting and playing. And I didn't know what was coming out, because when you're in a meditative state like that, and you're just, you just press record and just go for it, you don't know what you're going to get on the other end. But what came out was, I have a collection called Surrender, and it was really just surrendering everything that I had just experienced in India, and it was a complete download, and that was the first time I had ever done anything like that. So those mantras are mantras that I wrote, but when I listened back to it, it was mantras they were Hebrew prayers, they were Christian prayers, they were, Sikh prayers, they were Hebrew or Hindu. It was all of these different things that came out during this channeling session when I just pressed record. And I haven't done that since I used, sacred Hindu mantras, sacred ancient Sikh mantras, and also Hebrew prayers in the that's kind of mixed into the music. But with Surrender, that one was just completely channeled. It was just press record, and this is what you get.
That's amazing. And so presumably you didn't have an active knowledge of all of those ancient languages before you did that.
Did not at the time, no.
But you looked up afterwards the translation of what you were channeling? Were you able to? Hello? Oh. It looks like, listeners, it looks like we're going to go to a break while we get our guest back on the phone. It looks like we've dropped the call. Ezina, are you there? No.
Hello.
Okay, let's go.
Hello?
Oh, yes, you are. You're back. We lost you.
I lost you for a moment.
Yeah, everything went quiet, completely quiet, and I was like, can you hear me?
No, we couldn't. No, I was asking you about your channeling experience of those ancient languages and whether you'd managed to translate it all afterwards and find out what you were saying.
I was. It was really cool because one was just saying, I would like more peace. I would like more peace. I would like more peace. I would like more peace in the world. And I'm just going, wow, I had no idea that's what I was saying. And, I had no education on the mantras or the words that were coming out during the channeling. I had to look them all up. And that was quite remarkable to me because I had never done that before.
Are you aware that you're working with higher consciousness beings when you're working in that way? Yes. I was going to say, I can see that very clearly is what was happening with you then.
So how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this?
Sacred mantra music I've been doing since 2005. So still relatively new for me, but oh my gosh, it's like my love. Like, I love it so much. You feel so good, when you're chanting, you feel so good in the creation space because you just allow, the spirit realm to play with you. I'm not married to anything when I go in the studio or when I write. I go in the studio basically with an idea, and then I just sit in meditation, and whatever comes out during the chanting is what gets recorded.
One of the best shows that we did in the 3 years that we've been doing this show was we had some people on that were channeling light language, and it's the highest vibration show we ever did. It was amazing, and I wonder if you would do us the honor perhaps of doing one of your mantra chants for us.
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure.
That would be fabulous. Yeah. So I guess what we could do is it's kind of time for a break. So maybe we'll take a break, and then when we come back from the break, we'll ask you to do that for us, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. That would be my honor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Welcome back, listeners, to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and Corey, and our guest today is Ezina. And yes, it's Mercury retrograde, so we've been having the odd technical difficulty, but we are so glad to have our guest on the show with us. She is, amongst many things, a musician who is able to uplift energy by channeling high vibrational frequency chants and mantras. And before we went to the break, we asked her, and she so generously agreed to give us a mantra for us to listen to. So Ezina, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm very honored to chant with you today and to share with everyone a mantra called Pavan Guru. And Pavan Guru is a mantra that collects and binds the life force of the breath. You know, the breath is the carrier of life. In our teaching, we're taught that this is God in action, and so this is the mantra Pavan Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan.
Oh, thank you so much.
Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan, Pavan, Pavan. Pavan Guru, Wahe Guru.
Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Marvelous.
Yeah, I actually felt my breath change. I felt like I was breathing more into my belly while I was listening to that.
I love this Pavan Guru because it's about the breath, right? We use the breath to sustain our life force. We use it to connect. We use it to disconnect. We use it in so many different ways. And I love this mantra because it's all about energizing that breath. And so, you know, we start at one volume and then we get louder and then we get really, really soft. And the reason for that is because some people are shallow chest breathers. Some people have full use of the diaphragm and they can breathe really well from the diaphragm. And that pushes the air all the way through the body. And when we're stressed, we tend to have it tight in the neck. The breath is tight in the neck and it's tight in the chest. And so this mantra, you cannot recite this mantra without using all of the three different areas where we breathe. You have to breathe from the diaphragm all the way through the chest and up out the neck and then out the mouth. And as it's coming out of the mouth, it's also hitting that pineal gland at the top of our heads, and we're able to release that little stress bubble that tends to it tends to collect right there in that area. So we get the air straight up and out through the top of the chakra, so we're able to clear. So I love Pavan Guru for that reason alone. So it's one of those ones that's really simple. If you find yourself stressed and you find yourself in any type of situation where you feel like you're shallow breathing, you can even whisper, Pavan Guru, Pavan Guru, Pavan Guru, Pavan Guru. And then when you get to a place where you're by yourself, maybe in your car, maybe you can chant to really just break through whatever it is that's keeping you in that shallow breathing, so that we can have full expression of the breath.
Yeah. I love that it's giving you a chakra attunement, because, of course, the pineal gland is in the center of the sixth chakra. And and I know that music can be used to balance the chakras and to attune the chakras, and I imagine that's part of your work as well, is it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, all of the songs that the sacred chanting that I do is based on the Nad Yoga, and the Nad Yoga is about using sound as healing. And so with each of the songs, the different keys are chosen to resonate with the different chakras. Mm-hmm. And that's something that's done a lot in Hindu music and in Sikh music, but it's not necessarily translated to the West as well. And so I want to share that teaching as well, that by choosing the keys, you know, for anyone who's musicians out there, you know, by choosing the keys of the music that you're singing in or that you're composing in, they all correlate to different chakras within the body. And so if you're creating medicine music or music to heal or music to set a tone, you're also working with those energy centers of the chakras. Mm-hmm. So that's something that Nad Yoga teaches. That's something that the sacred mantras that I create also do, is in rebalancing the chakras. So what we heard was just me chanting a cappella, but when you hear it along with the instrumentation that I've chosen, you really get a full effect of what the music sounds like and how it works within the body. You know, I've had people come up to me and go, wow, you know, after I listened to this song, you know, I was able to fully sleep, and I hadn't been able to sleep. Or, you know, I had one lady that said, you know, I had a death in the family and it was really bothering me, and, you know, I wasn't able to really find peace with it, but somehow sitting with this mantra, I played it over and over and over again, and I was able to find peace with the person's passing. And that's just the power of this type of music, and why I'm so in love with it, and so in love with like sharing it with the world, because it is really medicine music.
Oh, definitely. I mean, music, sound, it's all so superb. We try every couple of weeks to have some people over to the house to do a manifestation circle, an attention circle. And one of the things we do during that is a toning, where we just pull a tone. It doesn't matter what tone it is. It could be an om, an ah, ooh, doesn't. And we just get together and we just tone until you know, for about 3-4 minutes, and it's astounding how the rhythm and the sound itself, the vibration, that just goes right through the body, and then we just offer that up, and it makes such a difference. It's one of my favorite parts of our get-togethers, because it does actually open up a lot of and reduce a lot of the negativity that's in my body, the physical and the emotional negativity. It's just a wonderful way to go. And you're
and that's such a good idea, and I love that too. In meditation circles and healing circles, I'm glad you brought that up, because that is so true. You know, you can get together, and even if you can't remember a mantra, just saying, you know, Om or Ong, those two things, just
letting
that vibrate.
Yeah.
great is beautiful.
Yeah, even using some of the Hebrew terms, like Yahweh and the names of God that they use. It's astounding. I used to do what was called a triple mantra, and I can't recall the whole thing. It's been a few years, but it starts off Ad Gorename, Sat Gorename.
Gat Gorename, Sat Gorename, Siri Guru Dev Name.
The triple mantra is just. And I just got goosebumps again. I used to do that all the time, and that's a very ancient mantra, and it wasn't very well known. It was not a lot of people knew that, but it's becoming more open these days. But what a powerful mantra that is, and like I used to sit there in traffic and traffic would just dissipate in front of me.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That mantra is what we use in Kundalini Yoga to open up all of the yoga classes. So everyone chants that in the beginning of the classes, and it's a protection mantra. And that's a great one to learn as well, and to keep in your pocket of mantras.
Oh, definitely. It's you do very. So tell me about your yoga, and how do you bring EFT into yoga?
Kundalini Yoga, it started with the Kundalini Yoga, and the Kundalini is a yoga practice that is done. It's a little different than Hatha Yoga, which most people may be familiar with. This yoga focuses on a lot of movement through mantra. So you're listening to mantra as you're practicing. You're chanting mantras in the beginning of the classes. The mantra is part of the practice. You do 3 to 11 minutes of mantra, then you do the Kundalini asanas, and then you do your relaxation. So what I've done is taken the mantras that you use within Kundalini, and also taking that into using EFT. Because as we begin the class, we always start with a little darshan, which is like a inspirational speech before the yoga classes. And so before we even begin the chanting, the Agare Dame that we were just speaking of, we first tap into what people need to focus on, what their intention is for that class for that day. And usually energetically you can feel that there's a collective consciousness of what people need to break through that day. And so what I like to do is start with the EFT, which is tapping. I'm sure your audience is familiar with it, but we start with the EFT for the collective consciousness of the people in the room. So say, for example, I'll just say the elections here, because that was a really tough time for people. And, people would come into classes and you'd feel all this anxiety. So we would first do EFT to tap out the anxiety. From there, we would do the protection mantra. We would go into the yoga practice, and then we would chant the remainder of the yoga practice, and we would end with an EFT again. So the beginning of the class and the end of the class are like the parentheses of the class, which is used with EFT, and then we're chanting and doing the movements within. And the reason I connected the two is because as people start coming into the classes, you hear the conversation. You hear the conversation of what's bothering them. Oh, I'm so glad I'm here today because I'm so stressed out. I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so whatever. And so instead of them taking that into their practice, I like to break it down and clear it before so they can have an even deeper experience during the 90-minute class. So that is Kundayasa Yoga. It's Kundalini, it's Vinyasa Flow, it's EFT, all mixed together.
Yeah, Dr. Lesley does some things like that before she does sessions and with her patients or clients as well.
Oh, I love it.
I think she's zoned out here.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to understand what you're getting at. I don't know what
you ground.
right. Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Lesley.
I was here, Corey.
I'm listening.
I wasn't sure what you were getting at, because my classes consist very much of very specific meditation techniques. I also teach Kundalini, but I teach it from the meditation standpoint as opposed to the yoga practice standpoint. And so, yeah, I mean, I have a range of different techniques that I teach people that starts with a foundation that then allows them to go beyond that. Anyway, it's time for a break. So
Saved by the bell here.
so I'm gonna move over to the ads, and then we'll be back with our guest Ezina. Welcome back, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley. We are broadcasting live on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley, live streaming from civl.ca. You can also catch the podcast on drlesleyphillips.com. And today on the show, we're having a fantastic conversation about the healing power of music, amongst other things, with our wonderful guest, Ezina, who is a dynamic new thought leader of self-help, yoga, and self-empowerment. And so far on the show, we've been talking about mantras and the healing power of music, and Kundalini yoga, Kundayasa yoga, which is a form of yoga that Ezina has developed by combining Reiki, EFT, and Kundalini yoga. Now, welcome back after the break, Ezina. Now, you've written a lot of books, haven't you?
I have.
And I was wondering I know a lot of them are to do with veganism and raw food. And there are some others that stood out to me, and I wanted to ask you what they were about as well. Grow Your Star and Awakening to Your Soul Star. What are those books about?
Awakening Your Soul Star is about awakening that North Star that everyone has, that soul star that tells you what your life's work is about. You know how you have this yearning to do something, like for me it's music and it's words and art. You know, everyone has a star, something that they're a star at, that they do better than anyone else. And sometimes I find that people who are spiritual searchers or spiritual seekers sometimes hide their greatness because they feel like they shouldn't. You know, we're taught a lot in spirituality about, you know, getting along. We're taught a lot about not being prideful. You know, we're taught a lot about almost kind of just, for sake of better term, just staying in our own lane, you know, just doing what you do and not being boastful and not bragging about the things that you do well. And in Awakening Your Soul Star, it's about shining a light on your genius. And when you shine a light on your genius, it's not boastful, it's not bragging, it's not separate from anyone, because we're all one. And so when you shine a light on your greatness, you give everyone else permission to do the same. And the brighter your light is, the brighter everyone else's light is as well. And so I found that early in my spiritual teaching, it was a lot about, you know, be humble and, you know, all those things, which are wonderful. But at the same time, we all have a special gift, each and every one of us. And it was only given to us. And so I wanted to write about awakening that. You can still be spiritual and shine like a light. You know, the two are not mutually exclusive. They can be one. And we all are, just like we look in the stars in the sky at night. There's a blanket full of stars, and we are all stars. But in order for us to create that beautiful blanket, we all have to shine a light on our gift and share that gift. and to have confidence and not feel insecure about sharing that gift. Like, oh, I'm not really being spiritual because I'm talking about this wonderful thing that I can do. So I really wanted to write a book to inspire people to just get out there and do it, and get out there and shine that light and be that light that you are. So that's really awakening your soul star and growing your star. Was a book that I wrote just about uncovering, awakening what that thing is that you do better than everyone else, that we need you to do, so that we can all be in that beautiful Milky Way of stars together.
Wonderful. And that actually was sorry to
Go ahead,
interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that was going to be my next question, is because we have people send questions into us, and the most common question, about 40% of the questions we get, fall into the category of basically what is my soul star, what is my purpose. There are so many people who are searching for that and don't have a clue yet what it is. So I'm glad that your other book is helping people like who are still searching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you.
I think one of the answers to that question that can be given to people a lot is, when they ask, "What's my purpose?" Your purpose is being you, the most profound you that you can be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
I always ask people, "What's your gift? What's the gift that you're hiding?" We've come a nation of people who are hiding and shrinking, because we want to fit in and we want to be liked and loved. And, there's a level of fear in stepping out and being the star, or showing your star gift, or in some other words, your superpower. And I really want to encourage people and give them a safe space to share what that is, because we need it. It wasn't given to you to just hide. It was given to you to share with the world.
No, even Jesus Christ in the Bible, it says don't, or I don't know if it was Jesus, but whoever said it, don't hide your light under a bushel.
It was Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah, show it to the world and be bright and vivid. And you're right. A lot of people, especially in these times when people are cocooning even more, and they're not, the electronics. It's a great communication. I mean, I love my phone and things like that, but texting and emailing and Facebooking and social media doesn't allow for the emotion to come through unless you're upset and capitalize everything. But we don't interact enough. We have to shine our lights in public. We have to shine our lights when we're talking to people. Just allow that goodness to come out and your gifts to emanate forth from you. I agree with you so much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I say in the book, tell everybody what you do. Tell the dry cleaner, tell your mailman, tell everybody what you do, because there's a level of shame. There's a level of tribal shame, and we don't have enough time to get into that on this interview, but there's a level of shame if you're different from the tribe. Definitely. And in the book, I talk about, as you step out and shine a light, you also shine a light on the tribe. And initially there may be, a bit of shaming going on where people try to shame you back in line in the tribe. But eventually what happens, if you keep shining the light on yourself, if you keep working on your soul star, then you illuminate your entire tribe, and then there's the pride that they feel, of saying, yes, this person is one of us. Yes, this is our singer, our artist, our doctor, our lawyer, our gardener, or whatever it is that you're a star at. People will see you shining, and then you not only give them permission, but you illuminate the tribe. And that just propelled me to write those two books, because I see it every day. I see when people come to my retreats. I see it, when I'm meeting people out in the world, and they go, "Oh, I write music too." And I say, "Excellent. Sing me a song," or "Sing me a song," or, or someone will send me a little painting or something, I'll say, well, that's wonderful. I want to see more. Put it on social. Get out there. Put it out there. Shine your light. Be the star. Because that little opening will it just changes the world, I think, personally. And I think if people are doing that, then we'll have more happiness and we'll see more peace. Because I think the reason we have so much strife in the world is because people are hiding.
Yeah. And it is perfect as it is. You don't. There's no need to. A really good example of that is art. I think when people paint, and they paint, and they look at this beautiful painting that you created, and the first thing most people say was, "Well, yeah, but I made a mistake up here." There is no mistake. It is what it is, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're getting to the last few minutes of the show, Ezina, and so I want to make sure that people know how they can get in touch with you. And I know you have different retreats and workshops that you run. Are there some things that are coming up that you'd like our listeners to know about?
I do. I have one event. If there's anyone out there who has ever wanted to write a book, I have a program called the 40-Day Book Challenge, and what I do is I take people who have a story to tell, and I help them to get their story out there. And this is different than any other writing boot camp or anything like that, because we combine it with yoga and meditation. So what happens is every time you feel a little block or a little something of uncertainty or anxiety, we have different mantras that we recite, that we chant, to help you to get to the next level. And because there's several people doing this at once, you get the collective consciousness that's also launching you through. So that is the next thing I have coming up, is the 40-Day Book Challenge at the 40daybookchallenge.com. And also I'd like to invite anyone who would like to receive any of these mantras. I have a special gift for the listeners. They can go to Ezina.com and they can get 7 of the mantras. Just sign up for the little newsletter there, and I'll send you 7 mantras that you can use to, help you feel more peace in your life, or to start a practice if you don't have a meditation or chanting practice. It's just, there's no strings attached or anything like that. You just go, you put your name in the little box, and then it immediately starts sending these to you. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's very generous. And is the 40-Day Book Challenge something that's done online?
It's done online. What happens is once you sign up for the 40-Day Book Challenge, you get the curriculum. And every day for 40 days, you get a video lesson from me. And then there's also weekly Q&A calls where we get together and we talk about what blocks that are coming up for people in the group, and we chant together and we do EFT together to clear those so that you can keep going on your journey. Because what I want is to make sure that at the end of that 40 days that you actually have a manuscript.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Ezina, thank you so very much for being the guest on our show this evening and for inspiring us.
Thank you for having me. It's my absolute pleasure to be here.
I'm sorry for any technical inconveniences. I'll make sure that...
Oh, Mercury. You know, what can we say?
I'll make sure that we edit those out for the podcast. Well, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for showing up.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so listeners, you heard, you can go to the 40daybookchallenge.com or ezina.com to find out more about this evening's guest. You've been listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Lesley and with Corey. And of course, we will be back next Tuesday at 7 o'clock Pacific time, broadcasting live on CIVL across the Fraser Valley. And in the meantime, you can go to drlesleyphillips.com and catch all the many podcast episodes. We have over 150 to share with you. All sorts of wonderful, amazing guests and wonderful, amazing teachings.
And Ezina will be on there next week, and you can pull this wonderful show again and listen to it. Good night, all.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Lesley Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. You can also find the questions that were asked during this show at the website on our free card reading podcast page, where you'll find a full list of them. Come back again.